I'm a black superhero. I'm a black superhero. I'm a black superhero. I'm a black superhero.
This that iceberg slim, Nikki Giovanni, Shaft in the black Cadillac right behind me. Nat Turner with a burner fine from the pews. Harriet in the chariot, never miss a cue. Running fools out the room, make them lose their shoes. Mississippi Delta putting tussin' on our blues. Too cool for school, we do for true.
Well, I'm Tamika Lamison, and I am the writer, director, producer, and actor. I actually am acting in this for some reason.
It's hard enough doing one aspect of this industry, just writing something, let alone writing something good, let alone writing something personal, just writing something, then helping to produce, direct, act, edit, all of these, and to put together a professional production like this, where stepping onto the set is same as stepping onto any other set that I've been on. To operate at such like a professional level, wearing so many hats is just really, really impressive.
If you don't get out of here and get me my milk and walk, I don't want y'all riding them bikes in the streets outside of this neighborhood. And no shortcuts. Stay out of the woods.
So I had been wanting to write this story for a really long time. This happened to my brother and I when we were kids, and it sort of haunted us, both of us, but we didn't really talk about it, but I knew that it haunted us. And so I had tried to write it a few times, and it just wasn't working. And then about 6 months ago, I was on my stationary bike and I was watching a movie, and then all of a sudden, the thing that never happens, like the whole channeling thing happened. I mean, my brother calls it, he's like, that's just the muse. And I'm like, okay, well, I think it was my ancestors, because it was like someone whispering in my ear, like dictation. It was literally like me taking dictation, which is why I was riding on the bike and watching television, and I just grabbed my phone and I was like, all right, all right. I started typing it into the notes section of my phone, and I was like, this now, wow, oh, that was good. It was crazy because I didn't have to think about it, because it was literally like someone whispering in my ear. So I was like, oh, TV, and it was crazy. So that's really how it happened, and I just dumped it into Final Draft after that, and tweaked it a little bit, and I would say about 95% of what that was, what I put in there, is actually what ended up in the script.
I find short films and short stories to be even more difficult than long projects, as far as like building a story in just a quick amount of time. And I was really impressed with all of the different emotions. You really go on like a little emotional roller coaster from beginning to end. So I was really impressed with that. And I'm a little bit younger than the characters, but I came up, I was born in the late 70s, came up in the early 80s. So, there was a lot of nostalgia that came, back when kids were independent and rode bikes and, just like got lost for a while without your parents' supervision, and that whole warm feeling that comes, because I had a lot of good memories of those times.
I have a cousin brother. I call him my cousin brother, and we did the same thing. We like, every summer we would swim, and we always cut through the woods to do our whole thing with swimming. And I was telling Tamika, this is based on her and her brother. And I was like, oh, this reminds me of me and my cousin when we used to do that, when we sneak away to go to the pool. And
this story is very personal to Tamika and her brother Cleve. It's actually based on something that really, really happened to them when they were little kids, and about a moment of innocence taken away from them, and my character is sort of the engine for that. I don't want to give away too much about what happens, but that was it. It's sort of a pivotal moment where a part of both of their childhoods was taken away from them, and this character is partially responsible for that.
It was during the time that the young boys, in particular young men, were being murdered here, and they were having a really hard time finding who the killer was, and it was really a scary time. And so, here's a story about this innocent little boy, and just about how innocence can be taken away in a flash, and just how it reflects the times that we're in now as well.
It's one of those things where it's a good message for the people of today, because we're letting kids get away with a lot of things that ultimately lead them to get into bigger, messes. And I mean, I'm not like a fan of corporal punishment, but I definitely feel like discipline is what's missing in our community. And so that was the most poignant message that stuck out. It's like it's a hard thing to do, to discipline your child and to possibly no longer be their friend, you know what I mean, for however long. But in the long run, you could be saving this child's life, and that's a message that's poignant right now in 2023.
I feel like there was always going to be a push and pull when you're a mother, right? Because this is such a specific thing. You are afraid for your child. You don't want him to do I mean, I guess I'll say it like this: Black children can't make mistakes, and we should be allowed to make them, but certain mistakes can cost us our life. And so, if you really believe that this one whipping is going to do what you need to do for the kid to believe or to understand that they can't do anything like that again, then I mean, there's no right answer. I don't know. Maybe there is a right answer. I don't know what it is, but I feel like my mom was in an impossible situation.
And the house Negro always looked out for his master. When the field Negroes got too much out of line, he held them back in check and put them back on the plantation. The house Negro could afford to do that because he lived better than the field Negro. He ate better.
So it's kind of a catharsis for us. I'm not sure what it's going to be for my parents because they don't know that this is the story that we're filming. I, I was telling my brother that I thought my dad smelled a rat because, he was like, when he was taking me to the airport, he's like, so I hear, your brother's going to be in the thing that you're filming. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, so what are you guys shooting? And I was like, it's just about, something that happened when we were growing up. And he's like, and I saw his mind like going, what could they be shooting about what they were growing up that anybody would want to see on screen?